Is there an investment that you're really excited about, that you're putting money into, that you're researching? It could be AI, it could be crypto, it could be stocks, it could be real estate. I don't care what it is, but is there one investment that you're really excited about outside of your businesses?
No.
If you could give yourself one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self that has led to all this success, what would you say that is?
Well, I think...
Welcome to the Amplifi Podcast. This is where we interview some of the most successful people and figure out how they got there. What's their story? What's their investments? What's their businesses? What's their lifestyle? Trying to figure out exactly what makes them tick and made them so successful. Our goal is that in every episode, you can pull at least one thing and implement it into your life to grow your net worth. Super excited for this first podcast, okay? It's with Mat Ishbia. He is a billionaire. I think he's worth over $10 billion, owns the largest mortgage company inside the world, as well as the NBA team, the Phoenix Suns, and the WNBA team, the Phoenix Mercury. I'm in the mortgage world, so I've watched Mat Ishbia for years. He's an extremely impressive human being, and it's awesome to watch these billionaires operate at such a high level. And so I was really excited, honestly, to sit down with him, and we do a deep dive. We talk about his investments. We talk about his business. We talk about side hustles. If he was to start a business today, what would he do? We talk about his lifestyle when he wakes up, his morning routine. We do a deep dive into everything, because if there's one thing I've learned, billionaires operate at a different level. But what I've learned is a lot of them had a journey to get there. And a lot of times we try to implement our lifestyle immediately into theirs when it just doesn't work. What we need to do is mirror what they did when they were building, because that's where we all are. So super excited for this episode. So let's jump into it. Thanks for coming, Matt. Super excited to kind of dive into this.
Absolutely.
I was just touring your facility. You have a basketball court in the middle of it. You ever play hoops with your employees?
Every once in a while. Once a year we have a game where the people here play against the summer team members. They have a little bit of fun for charity, but not much. I'm not much of a player anymore these days.
I'm the same way. I wish I could get out more. I play a little city league every once in a while, but can't play like I used to. Cool. So I have a large following on social media, and I promised them I'd ask the questions they want to know. So I pulled them about a week ago. We had 1,000 questions come in. And I just had my team scroll through and find the most common ones. So
great.
The number one question, are you going to trade KD?
No, I'm not. So,
I
I had to tweet out about that because, it's interesting. Kevin Durant's such a great player and people talk about him so much, but we love KD. I love Devin. I love Brad. I love actually our whole team. I feel good about it. We didn't get to where we want last year, but we're going to try to this year. So
you got a good squad.
I feel great about it. I mean, I'm very energized by them. We've got a great coach. And I think we're going to compete for a championship. That's the goal.
It's a fun market. I grew up in Mesa, Steve Nash, Barbosa, Marion. Like that was my era growing up. And so it's fun to watch them get not back on the map. The Suns have always been good, but you've got a crew right now that could legitimately do it.
Absolutely. And that's what it's about. Try to put yourself and have high expectations and go for it. And sometimes you hit them, sometimes you don't, but we're going for it. That's for sure.
Do you see similarities going from running a mortgage company to owning a team? Have you seen the similarities? Are they similar, completely different?
So similar. It's about people.
Yeah.
The team with the best players wins. Basketball, business, mortgage, any business you're trying. Get great people around you. You got to have great people all the way through the org, not just the players on the court, though.
Yeah.
You got to have great trainers, great physical therapists, great coaches, great front office, great scouts, great ticket sales. Like it's a team game. Everything's a team game. And so mortgages, basketball, men's, women's basketball, both teams. So there's a lot of similarities. And at the end of the day, the team that, you have set goals. You have to work your butt off, and you sometimes achieve them. If you don't, you got to retool and figure out how to do it.
That's awesome. Okay, I'll fire through these questions the followers asked. We got 4 or 5 of them.
Great.
Completely different on the second one. Second most was 20-year-old self. If you could give yourself one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self that has led to all the success, what would you say that is?
Well, I think the biggest thing I would say to what's led to a lot of my success is my extreme competitiveness. I hate to lose in anything I do, whether it's lose an account, lose an opportunity, lose a basketball game, whatever it may be. And that's fueled my work ethic. So I'm not someone that hates to lose and then cries about it. I'm someone that hates to lose, cries about it, and then goes and gets in the office at 4 a.m. and does it over and over again so I don't lose again, right? And try it. So I think that has fueled my success. So I would always talk about work ethic and attitude are the biggest things. But what I would tell my 20-year-old self is 2 things. One would be think bigger. There's so much opportunity. I didn't think anything like this. I didn't think about owning a team. Like I just was trying to make, a living to, one day have a life, and like not struggle. Like I never thought big enough. And the second thing is, use your resources. Take a hand that's reaching out to help you. Because not everyone's going to do that. But if someone does, or there's resource or access to even watching a podcast like this, like learn from it. Like there's so many resources out there. So much easier to get information and ideas now than it was back then. And I would have leaned on more people, asked for help more often. I think that's really a key to being successful in any walk of life, whether it's personal or business.
The competitive drive, something I've noticed about UWM, this difference is, I mean, I came to this industry, always looked up to you, fun to be on this podcast. But so many people, when they get that competitive drive and they lose, their intuition is to work 2 times harder, which can get you there. But I feel like one of your greatest strengths is to figure out what's broken and go against the grain. Like wholesale, when you got into it, wasn't even a thing. And so when you lose, it's not, let's go work 2 times harder. You do, but it's, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? How do I need to pivot right now so that this isn't even a conversation 2 years from now?
Yeah, well, I think it's a good point. So like, think different.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay to be different. I'm not different just to be different. I'm different because I think there's a better way.
Yeah.
And following what everyone else has already done. And like you talk about wholesale versus retail and what we've done. And that's one thing, but then even inside sales reps versus outside sales reps, you see, I have here, and having people work from home, everyone else does that. I have everyone in the office. Like, it's okay to be different. I actually used to speak at and do a presentation called Dominate by Being Different. It's okay to be different. If you thought it through and you execute, yes, you still have to work hard.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do what everyone else does. If there's a better way, try it. And guess what? If you're wrong, switch back. It's okay.
Yeah.
I change all the time. I make mistakes. I flip back. I'm not afraid of making a mistake.
No, and it's evident, and it's been fun. We have a bunch of recruits out here, and I'll do an intro later so people kind of know who you are and what you're doing. But we have a bunch of recruits out here that all come from the retail world, which is the historic way to do mortgages, if you would. And just to watch them over 48 hours, to watch their eyes open, to see that there's a better way, because they're fed so many lies about this industry, and then to watch that get opened. But it's crazy when you start innovating, the haters come, people start talking bad, there's poor PR, whatever it is, because they're scared of change. When ultimately, like you said, if you change in the right directions, you know you're going to succeed and you have a belief in that and it's going to happen. But getting rid of that hate and getting rid of that change, I mean, I've seen it over the last 4 years for you. Like, we don't have to dive into that, but like, it's going to happen when it comes. And your ability to stay focused on what you believe is the future and change where you need to go is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's really important. And listen, I tell my kids, I tell people, I speak like people don't ever hate and talk bad about the guy in 748th place.
Yeah.
They talk about the guys on top or the gals on top.
Yep.
And so they're going to be hating. They're always going to try to pull you down, because instead of seeing how great you're doing, a lot of people like to bring you down to their level.
Yeah.
And, my perspective is like, I feel bad for some of those people. Like when I see even on the Phoenix Sun stuff, like some people say negative things. I'm like, gosh, like what has this person got going on in their life that they go onto a social media and say something like how bad is their life? I reach out to someone like, hey, I feel bad for you. I'm here to help. Like, I'm not that bad of a guy. You've never met me, but you're saying all these negative things. Like, and same thing with the haters in the mortgage industry or any industry. Like when you're winning, people don't want you to win. Right. And that's okay. That means that it makes me happy when there's people hating, because if people aren't talking about you, you're probably not doing great things. The success you've had in your short time in the industry, and now with your like people are going to talk about, how do you do that? That's BS. Like they're talking
100%.
about you. They're not talking about you. You're probably not doing much.
Put the blinders on, know where you're going, and
Stay true to what you believe in.
exactly. Okay, another question they had, and I'm really curious on this one as well. Housing market 2-year prediction. I had so many questions for your opinion. You've got inside scoops. Who knows if you really do? But what's your belief 24 months from now? Where are housing prices at? Where are interest rates at? What's kind of your belief on where we're headed?
So housing prices are going to continue to go up. People like to think, oh, I'm not going to buy now. I'm going to wait and see. Like it's just a foolish way of thinking about things. Like if you're going to buy a house, especially a primary residence, like you're going to spend time with your husband, your wife, your kids, your family there. Like that's where you create memories. Buy the house that you want now and today. The nice part about mortgages and the industry that we're in is when you buy a house, you can basically lock in and say, this is the max I'm going to ever pay for this house. Even if it's 7.25% high rates, like they're lower than that now. Obviously, where brokers have lower rates, but 7.25% rates, the highest rate you could think of right now, 7.5%. I don't even care what. And a $400,000 house, that's the max you're going to pay for the next 30 years. You cannot pay more than that. So the nice part is, are you going to make more income? Yes. Is the house going to be worth more? Yes. Like, are you going to be able to refinance? Yes. Lower the payment, right? Like everything's going your direction. And so people sometimes try to think, and savvy business people or savvy homeowners, like they understand that. They are going to buy now. Like waiting to buy a house is the most foolish thing that I talk to people about. Why would you do that? You're locking at the highest and the worst case scenario today, and it's only going to get easier and better. And this is where you're going to create your family and your lives, the opportunity. So I think housing values are going to continue to go up. They are not going to slow down. There's still a supply demand issue. Household formations. I can give you all the data, but I'm just telling you the some of it is it's going to continue to go up. Whether it goes up 10% a year, probably not, but 3% a year,
100%.
right? And and think about it. If you buy a $400,000 house and you put 10% down, right? That's $40,000. And that $400,000 house goes up 3% a year, 5% a year. Like, you only put $40,000 down, and it's going to go up. Like, people are like, oh, you only make 5% on your money. No, you actually make a lot more on your money because you only had to put 10% down, right? And so it's a great investment, but it's a great place to create families. Housing values will continue to rise. I think 3 to 5% a year, some years 15, some years 1, but it's not going anywhere else besides that. And then interest rates are going to come down. They're not going to go back to 3s and 4s, but 5s and 6s, absolutely. And I think as people get more and more intelligent, that's why I'm big on the broker channel and independent mortgage. Like, you'll find the right people to give you a great payment and find a great situation for you. Down payment, monthly payment, understand mortgage insurance, not mortgage insurance. I just think that rates will come down. It'll be a great opportunity. But I always tell people, you're buying a house, you're locking in the worst payment you're going to ever pay the rest of your life. I don't care if the rate was 4. It's still the worst you're going to pay because you only will go down if you're going to refinance. Right? And you're going to make more money, aren't you? So, like, it's a great opportunity.
100%. I feel like everyone gets PTSD from the most recent recession that they lived in. Like my grandparents, okay? I remember my grandma washing paper cups because she lived through the Great Depression, did it for 60 years because during her pivotal years, that's what she remembered. We all go back to the 2008 crash and say, oh, it's going to happen again. In actuality, recession does not mean housing crash. Like, those don't correlate. I think it's 6 to 1 is the actual statistic from recession to housing crash, but everyone's convinced it's going to happen because that's what happened most recently. The mortgage market is a different market. We're not qualifying the same. We're not pre-approving the same. The guidelines are different. And so we will not see the same housing crash. Yes, we'll go through recessions. Like, are we in one right now? Like, we can all make debates. GDP's down, inverted yield curve. Like, we can make those debates. But the fact of the matter is, housing prices statistically are not going to go down. There's a supply and demand issue. Household credit, just like you said, it's going to go up. And so many people are so scared. But those same people in 2020 told me housing prices are going to come down. I'm going to go rent for a year. And they're still coming back to me right now saying housing prices are going to come down. I'm like, you're 100% more on the price.
And the positive view of it is it's so great that people think that, because then the people on the know, the people that are watching this podcast, people that are your clients, people that are like, they're the ones that take advantage of it and win. Right. And everyone else is, oh, I'm going to wait and see and do all these things. Like, follow the national media that wants to, put scare tactics out in the market. Like, they're the ones that are losing. The people that follow that are not educated and learning. And that's why, like I said, the winners are going to win. You're going to be people that are watching your podcast, learn from you, understand stuff, and then they go.
And the biggest thing, and we preach this on the page, is financial literacy, not being house poor. When you work with a loan officer that actually knows your budget, yes, we have high rates. Yes, we have high home prices. If you're working with a loan officer that's trying to push you into something you're not comfortable, don't do it. Like, I'm not saying you have to go kill your budget to get into a home right now, but if you can afford it and lock it in and know what you're going to pay for the next 30 years, there is no better investment that you can make in yourself and your future if you can prove affordability and actually afford it right now.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
Agreed.
Okay, last question from then we'll jump over to the other parts. This was an interesting one. I didn't even think about this, but the question was, you already have money, okay? Like, we can look you up on the Forbes list, all that kind of stuff. How do you stay motivated, and what is your driving force to show up every morning? I mean, there's stories around the building of you in here at 4 a.m., you're working harder than anyone here. What is your motivating factor to continue to give everything you have?
Well, first off, money was never the goal. So since money was never the goal, I haven't hit my goals. My goals are not, so you can say whatever, billions, millions, dollars, it doesn't matter. That's not the goal. The goal of mine was not dollars. The goal of mine was domination, winning, success. And success is measured in many different ways. Happiness is really the measure of success. And I love being here every single day. I love handling things. I love doing this. I love talking to people. And it really comes back to, why do I love it? Because I love impact. I love making an impact on people in a positive way, giving some knowledge. Hopefully someone watching this right now will get one idea of one person, of all the people that are going to watch it, get an idea to help them grow and succeed. And they're like, man, that one guy 7 years ago I saw, like, he helped. Like, I love that stuff. That's like what fills me up in the best way. Like, and I know if you think about it, if you impact people in a positive way and you keep winning, money will follow. Right. And that's what my whole life has been. Right. Like, that's why I've been working. Like, I've always been just trying to impact and win and compete. And so I love it. Like, my goals are still in front of me. Like for a long time, it was like, how do I get UWM to be the #1 wholesale lender in the country? It was like a crazy goal. This will be our 10th straight year being #1. How do we get UWM to be the #1 overall lender in the country? This will be our 3rd straight year #1. Now my real goal is, how do I get brokers to be #1? How do I get brokers to be over 50%? And we're way back. We're 26.6, which for anyone watching, it's the stupidest thing in the world. Like you take nothing away from the podcast. You should work with a broker, independent mortgage broker that can shop for a deal, do the right thing by, like, it's a no brainer. You understand it because you're in the industry, but people don't. They don't understand that stuff. And so to me, that's the next big goal. And when we get there, I'll be like, we did it. Okay, what's the next mountain? where do we go from there? And we might not get there for 20 years, and I'm okay
Yeah.
setting goals that I might not get to.
Yeah.
I'm not okay not setting goals.
I still remember a conversation with my wife, and I think it's the first time that I watched the net worth go 7 figures. And she asked me a question. She said, "How much money would I have to give you right now to stop working?" And I like thought about it for a second. I was taken back. And I specifically said, I was like, there is no amount of money, because it's not the money. Like, that's not what I do. It's, I thoroughly enjoy working. I thoroughly enjoy making a difference, growing, having impact, exactly what you just said. And I feel like that's a common trait that a lot of people don't understand when they're stuck in the grind of the 9 to 5 and they lose sight, is they don't have a vision. For them, it's, I need to make money so I can pay my bills. Like, that's the concept they get into. But when you can set something greater than money, happiness, longevity, whatever it is, and you can work towards that, it's no longer about the money. And every single, I want to say killer, it's probably not the word, but every hyper successful person that I've met, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
Money is not the goal. It's something different that drives them and motivates them. And in my opinion, that is one of the biggest factors that keeps them going. Everyone else would take the foot off the gas eventually when they hit that 5-figure or 7-figure net worth or whatever their goal was. But when that's not your goal, you just keep going forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had the conversation literally with my 9-year-old son yesterday. He made a joke, he doesn't understand. He's 9, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, I'm going to work tomorrow morning real early again. He's like, well, why do you go to work? We already have enough money. and he's like, well, and I said to him, I said, the reason we have enough money is because I'm the kind of guy that still goes to work.
Yep.
I love that. That's like, it's not, you can't just take your foot off the gas and just stop. Because if I was just chasing money, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I'm chasing dominance and winning. Just like you want to be the best football player. My son wants to be like you can't just, when you score 5 touchdowns, does that mean you're done? Or do you want to go score 7? Or do you want to go to the NFL? Like, if you make your goals monetary, you will stop when you hit them.
100%.
And if you make your goal bigger than that, nothing will stop you.
100%. Okay, so the purpose of the podcast, people that are stuck in the 95, the business owners that are just starting, the side hustlers that have something, like with it, the way inflation is going, the wage growth is going, more and more people are struggling. So the purpose that I want to get out of this is that we can come away with 2-3 nuggets that someone can actually apply. So I know you decently well because I do so much business with UWM. So I'm going to lob you 2 that I've noticed, and I'd love to hear a third on like a specific takeaway for business for that type of person. Someone with 5 employees, someone starting a side hustle, kind of there. So
great.
First one I had, it was perfect example of it today, okay? I remember my first ever time coming out to UWM, you were talking to a group of us. You have no idea who I was at this point. And your assistant stopped you and said, Matt, you have 4 minutes until we need to be at our next meeting. We need to start walking now. They had it timed literally of how long of a walk it was to your next meeting. Your punctuality was inspiring for me. I was like, I don't even have a schedule. Like, I need to get on this bandwagon. Was that a product of the success you had at that point, or has that always been the way that you structured your days and attacked life?
Well, so I'm going to answer it both ways because it's actually a little bit of both. The truth is, like, people talk about you got to manage your time.
Yeah.
You how do you spend your days? Like, I don't spend my days or my hours. I manage my minutes. Every minute matters. Show up for this on time, right?
Yep.
We'll finish on time. I got a next meeting. Like, every part of my day is choreographed because you only get 24 hours. No matter how much money you have, no matter how much success you have, you get 24 hours, so do I. I know that if I sleep a little bit less, if I manage my minutes a little better, if I'm completely singular focused, I'm not multitasking. I don't believe in multitasking. I'm not talking to you while texting some girl. Like, that's just not how you do it, right?
Yep.
I don't coach my kids while making them dinner. Like, I'm doing one thing at a time and I'm dominant of it. And so I think that you have to be very diligent with your time. Your time is the most valuable thing you have, and you can only use it once. You can't spend it again. And so I'm very, very focused on my minutes of my day. And while I'm in it, like if you want to walk in my office after, like, I don't have like social media, Instagram up and like fooling around on fantasy football stuff. Like, I'm like laser focused on mortgage, preparing for this podcast, getting to my next meeting. I know what my next meeting is. I know what it's about. Like, I'm already prepared. Like, every minute matters. And so, yeah, my assistants, that's as I've grown, I'm like, hey, listen, part of it is they keep me on task, but also part of it is letting the person I'm meeting with know, like, time to wrap up. We got 3 minutes.
Yep.
Right. So like, let's wrap this thing up and let's keep it moving and then I usually at that point, I'm like, okay, what are our action items? Let's send a follow-up email. I'll follow up on this. You follow up on that, and we'll connect again in the future. And so I'm very big on my minutes mattering all the way through the day.
Are you super strict? You look at Jeff Bezos and he'll talk about his morning routine. Are you very strict in your first 2 hours, 3 hours? Do you have a morning routine? Like, is there a systemized schedule every day you have to follow? Or is it just about managing the time that you have as good as you can?
I'm very structured. So my days are looking alike almost every day.
Yeah.
Right. And as I change things, as things evolve, I can evolve my strategy. but I'm very consistent. You know, like for me, for years, I'd always be in the office 4 a.m. suit and tie, which means I'm getting up at 3:30. I'm 22 minutes from when my feet hit the floor till I'm out the door. I'm not anything else. 22 minutes, 3:52, I'm out the door. I'm 7 to 8 minutes from here. I'm usually here at 4 o'clock, right? That's how I did it for years and years. Very structured. Like, no, and that means I go to bed at 9:30, right? So I put my kids to bed at 9, right? I clean up some emails. I'm in bed by 9:30. That's how it was. Now my kids are a little older. They stay up later. I watch the Suns and the Mercury. So my schedule, but I'm still 6 hours of sleep. So I've moved my schedule around. That's what I need to sleep to be productive and efficient. And so I'm very consistent every day. And you know, because it's easy to try to do that stuff for a week or a month. Doing it consistently for years with no reward, with no success. I did that for years, making $60,000 a year, you know, not being dominant, back to my earlier word, not winning. But I knew that I was building something big, and I was going and going, and eventually the results will come. But I'm focused on the process, not necessarily the results.
And I feel like a lot of people that are trying to start these side hustles, like to relate this to the everyday person, a lot of them, what I hear constantly is, I don't have time. Like, I don't have time to do this. I'm like, you do. Like, you show up to work at 9, you go to 5, you tell me you want to start this side hustle. We got a whole lot of other time in the day. You've got Saturdays, evenings, mornings. The thing is, you wake up at 8:30, you go to sleep at 1, you do nothing in between. But if you can dial in, everyone can find 1 to 2 hours in their day that they can become more structured, more dominant, and focus on something that achieves their goals. And eventually the goal for most people is stop accomplishing someone else's goals, start accomplishing yours, and it's a transitional phase. Like, you just have to slowly get there until you're doing what you love every single day.
And that transitional might take 5, 10 years. You have to understand that's what it's going to take, right? And happiness is the goal. And what I find, is people that don't set goals are the ones that don't hit them, don't get there, don't get to where they want to be. You actually should sit down and say, what is happiness for me? You and your wife, you and your husband, whoever the people are, right? What is happiness? What do I want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And what does happiness look like? You should think about it, because some people think, oh, it's $1 million in the bank. Is that really happiness? Or is it 2 vacations a year with your family? Does it have to be flies? Can you drive? Like, what are we trying to accomplish in life? Happiness is the goal, not money. Success is happiness.
100%. A lot of people, when they first start companies, you hire great talent, they start to scale with you. But a big struggle, I mean, I'm even personally dealing with this one, is setting the vision for your employees to see that your vision for the company, everyone's self-centered. Everyone wants to ultimately do what's best for them. You as a leader having a unique ability, you walk out onto this floor and there's 9,000 people out there that will run through a brick wall for you. And that was not made overnight. That was made over years and years and years of very calculated, is not the right word, but intentional cultural building. How did you create that vision, and what advice would you have around creating a vision for other people to work on something that you're building?
So the key thing, there's a 4-letter word. You don't use many 4-letter words in a podcast. 4-letter word I would use is care. You have to show people you care. And how do you show people you care? You actually have to care. You actually have to go out of your way and spend time. Go to lunch with that person. Sit down and talk to them about their problem. When their mother passed away, you got to show up at the funeral. Like, you actually have to care about people. And when you show people you care about them, they'll care about you back, right? And that's the key. People want to try to figure out the fastest way. And that's part of the reason I want everyone in one building, is because I can show my care. I can walk the floor and touch 8,000, 9,000 people and say hello, and then see me on the floor and talk to people and check in with someone. And someone needs to, you have to care about people, because nobody's going to care about your business like you care about it. It's yours. So show them that you care about them, and you can't show them and fake it. You actually have to do things. You have to do and the biggest ways, and you never know when the opportunity is going to come up, but it could be as small as that one of your people is trying to lose weight, and you show them you care, hey, let's go grab lunch, and you go to the salad place rather than McDonald's, right? That's just showing that you care in a small way. Or you know that they're going through a tough thing with their husband or wife, and you're like, hey, listen, why don't you get out of here early? Go take your husband on a date, spend some time together. I'll finish your work. It doesn't mean I had to give them $20,000. It shows that I care about them and what's going on in their life. And how do you show them you care? You have to get to know them. And I think that that's the biggest thing, and my biggest differentiator is that I do care. And I go out of my way to care about people, care about what's going on in their life. And you do that by spending time. And back to my, why are you here at 4 a.m.? Because I do all the work from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then 8 a.m., I'm walking the floor. I'm touching base with people. I'm popping in someone's meeting. Hey, what are you guys meeting on? Oh, I appreciate you guys. Did a great job. Showing them a little love. Show them you care. And that starts to, spiral. And spiral's not the right word. Build upon itself is the right word. And that's what we've done. And it started small, and it's growing bigger and bigger. Now, I don't know all 8,000 people. Right? But I know all the top people, and they all know how I feel about them. And then they push that down, and then it just continues to build upon itself.
It's so smart. I feel like a lot of people when they're first starting out, the first hire is easy. The second hire is easy because you care about those people. They're the ones that help you build this thing. It's once you get to 5, 10, 15 that you lose sight of that. Oh. Everything becomes about numbers, efficiencies, scorecards, and it turns into a numbers game and you lose that care. And I feel like that is where every small business fails.
You can't scale.
You can't scale that way.
Can't grow that way.
No. And the other big aha moment I had, and then I'll let you kind of give the last one, but as entrepreneurs and as people that are starting side hustles and as people that are starting businesses, you're naturally more money motivated and driven, but so many people are not wired that way and they are motivated through other factors. And it took me a long time to realize that so many people could care less about $100 bonus check, but that me taking them out to lunch or them interpersonal connection means so much more to 99% of the people out in the world. And that is what we're missing inside of business.
If they cared about the same things that you care about, they wouldn't be working with you.
Yeah.
They wouldn't work for you. They think differently. And that's great. You think you're probably messed up. Sometimes business owner is the messed up one.
100%.
I'm probably the messed up one.
Yeah.
And like, they are much different. And so like what matters to certain people, find out. Some people want to be recognized. Some people want you to send a letter home in front of their husband and wife so they can feel good. Some people want a bonus check, right? Some people want, and you got to find out what matters to people. You can't lead someone unless you know what matters to them. And that starts with spending time and then caring about them. And
the greatest salespeople, the greatest business owners have the ability to recognize that and try to empathize and understand the other point of view. And that is a skill that you have to develop, is being able to get in someone's head, inside their head, and understand what they care about, what they want, where they are, so you can meet them where they are at. And that's true care, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Did I miss one? Is there one more piece of advice in the last couple of minutes we have? If you were someone's just starting a side hustle, has a couple employees, what would you be your one piece of advice to that person?
So I'm gonna give you two pieces, but we kind of already hit one of them. One is, like, at the end of the day, it's gonna come to you caring and outworking everybody. You actually have to show, if it's a side hustle, you have to put the time in. Like, nothing great is built in a day.
Yeah.
And you can't be successful just like trying to do it on the side all the time. Like, it actually has to become, the side hustle has to be multiple hours, like, it's not easy to be great. If it was easy to be successful, everyone would do it. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't be talking about it on a podcast, right? Yep. It's hard. And so the work ethic and realize that you're going to go through ups and downs, and you got to stick with it. Consistently stick with it and believe in yourself. If you know it's going to work, stick with it. So that's one that we kind of already talked about, work ethic and stick with it. That I think is really important to be successful and to, like, have your business or opportunity. But the biggest one I always say is the word team. I'm a team guy. You can't be successful alone. No one's great alone. I'm not successful alone. You're not successful. You need a team of people around you. And so realize the people you surround you with, whether it's your husband, your wife, your kids, your neighbor, your business partner, someone, your salesperson, your person, your vendor that you're working with, it's all part of the team. And as soon as you think that you're doing it alone, you're going to fail. And as soon as you don't put the most effort into helping them succeed and helping your team win, then they won't help you win. It's a team game. Life's a team game. Yeah. It's not an individual sport. And so I think you realize that team is everything. And in partnership, business partnerships, teamwork, it's all part of it. Like, you're not going to get anywhere alone. You need a teammate and a partner and someone that cares about you and you caring about them. And that makes it more fun to win that way.
Okay. 30-second last question. Wrap up with this one. A lot of this is financial literacy, investment, stuff like that. We hit a lot of business just because of who you are and what you are. But is there, outside of the businesses you own, is there an investment that you're really excited about, that you're putting money into, that you're researching? It could be AI, it could be crypto, it could be stocks, it could be real estate. I don't care what it is, but is there one investment that you're really excited about outside of your businesses?
No, there's not. Unfortunately,
I
invest in myself.
100%.
So I don't do a lot of investing in different business. Like, I bet on myself all day, every day, because I can control the outcome. So I'm all in with everything I do with UWM. Now the Suns and the Mercury, like, all in every day, 1,000,000% of my focus on that and my 3 kids. Besides that, I don't have much of a life.
And there's something definitely there. A lot of people will go seek the 7, 8, 9% return in the stock market when you can go get a 50, 100, 200% return if you just put a little money into yourself. So there's definitely something.
Bet on myself all day, and it's worked well for me. I'm going to keep doing it.
100%. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot. Enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Amplify. This is our first of many to come. Make sure that you subscribe. The more subscribers that we have, the more listens that we have, the bigger guests we can get on here. I want to be interviewing the billionaires in the world so that you can take some of the best nuggets from them, implement them into your life, and actually grow your net worth. So make sure to hit subscribe, make sure to follow along, and watch for the next episode.